that later this year it's going to be like laying out the plan for what he wants to do.
Well, I remember reading either last year or the year before in NASCAR Scene. It's a NASCAR Scene. But to those who don't know NASCAR Scene, it's a weekly NASCAR publication. It's like it used to be like a newspaper, but now it's more like a magazine on newspaper type paper. Best way I can describe it. But they actually had a brief article on that, and it was said 2009 was the year he was going to decide kind of how it's going to go. And I think it had something to do with his contract, even though you say lifetime, but I'm not sure what lifetime really entails. I mean, it's kind of those things that I think it's like almost like an automatic re-ups or something like that, probably.
Well, and the other thing is he's got part ownership in the organization, so I really don't ever see him leaving.
Yeah, well, even if he retired, he would still be there, part of the organization, and he'd still be considered the car owner of the 48.
And what's interesting with him, though, is we were also talking about lots of
revelation real quick. Technically, Gordon has 7 championships. He's got his 4 driver championships and his 3 owners championships.
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
I just thought that was funny. I hate that statistic, but
that's interesting. But speaking of ownership and how many other drivers have dove into ownership, and maybe not necessarily on the NASCAR level, but I think it's interesting. And this is no slam at him. Obviously, he's been my favorite driver for my entire life. I'll say this though, yeah, he's part owner in the number 48 team and everything. But when he retires, I'm going to make a bold statement and say that I don't think I see him. I don't think you'll see him as one of those people that's there every week, and I just don't. Well, I think that he's got a family now and a very young daughter, and I think he's gonna step away for a while.
Well, first of all, his ownership isn't nearly as detailed as
like Harvick or.
I mean, he's
Stewart.
Basically a namer or a owner in like name only. That's a little
and
harsh.
I'll admit that, and you know what? I'll admit that too, because we all know. I mean, I don't think that's actually been said, but we all know that. I mean,
well, and that's the given thing about NASCAR. You know, they have technically one person can only have their name on 2 cars as being the owner. You know, so Rick Hendrick's name is on the 5 and
the
24.
And then
it's
his father was on the 25.
It was Papa Joe Hendrick was on the 25,
which is now the 88.
And it would have been Ricky Hendrick, I think, at this point, if Ricky was still with us. And then you got Jeff Gordon's the name, but he only owns a minority of that car. So if he retires and he decides he's done,
he could just sell it.
Yeah, he could sell off whatever it is, 5-10%, if it's that much, or if it's a little more of the car technical ownership, you know. And they'll put somebody else's name. They'll put Rick's wife's name on it or something like that.
Yeah, it's just it's the technicality, and I don't know. I just we'll see how long he stays. Obviously, I want him to stay as long as he can, but I think I would be surprised if he would say any longer than 10 and 11. 2010 and 11 would be his last 2 years.
You think that's when he'll be done?
I think he'll run 2 more years. After this year.
If he does, it's only because he doesn't want to do it anymore. If he's let me put it like this, okay? If he's set in 2010 and 11 and he thinks he's going to be done by then why even run in 2010 and 11? Does he have like only half the fire then? Or does that mean he's got, you know, he thinks he's going to have fire in his belly until 2011? What if it gets to 2011 and finds he still wants to do it? I think if you're going to put a set date on it like that, you know, then you should leave now to a certain extent, because that means you're already thinking about what you're going to do next. You're already thinking about how this isn't, your focus is a little gone, and to me that says you don't want it that badly.
That's true. That is true.
But that's just my opinion. Yeah, I could be wrong.
It'll be interesting to see, because you know, I bet there'll be a huge press conference or something.
Oh, I'm sure.
Watch him stun us and be like, "This is my last year."
Yeah.
Well, stunning would be the right word.
Wouldn't that be interesting? You know, I would throw a party. By the way, anybody listening to this, you're invited if he retires this year. We'll have a party. We will celebrate.
I'll conveniently be busy that evening.
I'm sure you will. Well, you still have Johnson, so I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I know.
You claim both of those guys, so.
Like I said to you this weekend, it's 1 and 1A.
Yeah, so. 1 and 1A. At least I have 1 and 2. That'd be Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Tony Stewart. So, just a little instructions on fandom for you there, buddy, pal, skipper.
Well, it won't be 1 and 1. Well, okay, there's 1, 1A, and then like.
You should just be like, Gord, will you hurry up and retire so that I can.
Well, there's 1, 1A, and then there's very close to maybe 1B, and then
1C, 1D.
Yeah, well, there's four. There's 1A, 1B, and 1C because of the 4.
Why don't you just like proclaim yourself a Rick Hendrick fan?
Well, but then that devalues the 48 and the 24.
Then why rank them? Well, no, that's not the correct question. But why claim all of them?
Because that's the way I've always been. I remember I even liked Kyle Busch at a time. For real, no April Fools.
I wouldn't say you liked him.
I had to. I liked him out of obligation. I liked him out of obligation, and that's what I said on Sunday.
No, that's a sellout thing to say. I'm a Junior fan. I don't like Gordon. Somebody said to me the other day, I met this guy as a Junior fan. He says that he's like, it's actually during the Gatorade duels, and the guy was asking me about how Gordon was doing. He's a Junior fan. I said, he won the first duel, and he goes, all right, it's been like 40-some races. I'm like, you like Gordon? He goes, no, not really, but he's Junior's teammate. Sellout. You don't like Gordon? You don't like him. I don't care if he's teammates with your favorite driver. When I see Junior in the draft, I hope he screws over his teammate, to be completely honest with you.
I've always been a team player, so I like the teammates.
There's no INT, but if you switch out the letters right, there is a me.
Clever. Original, Doug. Original.
All right, that's enough of that talk about Jeff Gordon. Let's move on. I just want to go through some of the people that finished in the top 15 at Martinsville because I wrote these down just because I thought this was interesting. Okay, 6th we had Ryan Newman in the 39 car.
Best finish of the season by far.
Well, and Stuart Haas looked really good. I'll give them this; they looked really good.
3rd and 6th.
This was the kind of day I've been waiting to see from
Stuart. And if
Stewart.
Tony Stewart was just a little closer to the 11.
The thing we talked about the race, we didn't even talk about the fact that Hamlin and Johnson almost wrecked racing for the lead.
Yeah, it was surprising to me that you actually admitted that Johnson was inside because he was.
Okay.
Honestly, he was below.
First of all, you don't give me enough credit for being fair because I am very fair, actually. Number 2, obviously he wasn't. I wouldn't say he was inside, but he was obviously making a move to pass because he didn't really get inside because he outbraked him. So he was kind of looking, and then as they got to the corner, he dives in there. But when he dives in there like that, it's basically a fighting over real estate thing. And that happens all the time. It happened to Junior at Richmond last year with him and Kyle Busch. I do not hate Kyle Busch for that. I do not expect there to be any problems with. So I mean, if I didn't hold Kyle Busch accountable, and I say Kyle Busch intentionally wrecked Junior, then I wouldn't say that Johnson intentionally wrecked him. And he didn't wreck him. Hamlin saved it. I guarantee you, if Johnson wanted to wreck him, he would have wrecked Hamlin. And
I think Denny Hamlin knew that. I mean,
yeah. The only thing I thought was funny that Johnson said that if he must have known that it was unintentional because he didn't punt me in turn 1 after that happened. I'm like, he wasn't close enough to hit you in turn 1. If he didn't even let up off the gas in turn 1, he doesn't even hit you. He misses you completely and hits the wall.
Yeah, I think he meant after the race is what I thought he meant by that. But
yeah, maybe. But that doesn't get you anywhere. You just lose points and money if you try stuff like that.
That is true. I don't know. It was definitely a good battle. And for a while there, I don't know, with about 100 to go or whatever it was, there were the top 5 right there, and that was when Jeff Gordon and Hamlin were bumping each other and swapping for the lead.
That's when Johnson suddenly showed up there.
Yeah,
calling,
and
hi, how you
Tony
doing?
Stewart was back there, and then Boyer was back there.
Yeah, and then and Junior wasn't too far off too. There was one point Junior was close to the lead, but he never really got close. But we got off topic again. Back to some of the top 10 finishers from the race. AJ Allmendinger in 9th. Good for him, right? You agree with that?
Definitely.
Well, and
how can you be against him?
Some people, I think, just don't care about the dinger. I think they just. He's one of the guys that he's kind of a no-name. The only reason you know his name is because it's fun to say. It's like one of those words that sound dirty but aren't. AJ Allmendinger.
He ran pretty decent. It wasn't like a snookered finish. He ran pretty decent the entire race.
Well, and I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping that's what I'm basically hopeful of is that he will get a full-time ride for the rest of the season. They're booked through May.
The end of May, yeah.
That's what they got. They started out as being booked through Texas, which is next week, and they got enough sponsorship to get him through May, and they're trying to find more so that he can go through the rest of the season. But there's no guarantee of that. But I'm hopeful for him, and runs like today will do well and get him there. 10th was Jamie McMurray.
Quietly impressive.
Do you think that him reuniting with Donnie Wingo is helping him out there? Because I can't really remember where he finished anywhere else this season. But obviously a top 10 anywhere is a good way. I think
a top 10 anywhere is good, yes, but I also think that's even more impressive considering the Roush cars usually stink.
Yeah, the Roush cars do not show up at Martinsville. They never have, really.